The power of slips. I'm Dr. Trish Leigh. I'm here to tell you how you can use slips to help you be successful in the long run for breaking your porn habit and riding off into the sunset with a healthier brain. Okay, let's break it down first. In a previous video, I talk about the difference between slips and relapses. Let's just cover that for 1 second in case you haven't seen that video. So if you are engaging in our challenge to no longer watch pornography, you may have slipped up. You may have one time out of your brain's need, you may have gone back to the habit and really felt like you needed to watch porn or masturbate or both. So that's a slip. If you mess up one time, excuse me, that is a slip. That means that you fell off the horse. But it doesn't mean that you jumped off the wagon and started running in the opposite direction. That is a relapse. So if you say you're no longer going to engage in your habit and then you mess up and you have a slip, but then you say, you know what, this is really hard. I don't feel like I'm going to do this. I'm done. Let's just go back to frequent and consistent watching porn and masturbating every day. That is a relapse. That is you jumped off the wagon and started running in the opposite direction. And to keep using our hijacker analogy, you just let the hijacker take the wheel. You jumped into the passenger seat again and you just let him take you off the off-ramp, totally away from your goals towards his goals of keeping the habit going to keep the chains shackling you. Now in a slip, the power of it is you can see what is moving you towards the need to watch pornography or to masturbate. You can use it as the most powerful learning tool. And you know how willpower goes. You can actually only exercise it in the times of need. So everything I talk about in these videos goes back to neurological regulation, meaning getting control of your brain and being able to exercise that control. And then the way that falls out into your life is in self-regulation, being able to get a hold of your behaviors, your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, your reactions, and then being able to control them and to modulate them as necessary. So neurological regulation in your brain equals self-regulation in your life. That's what we're talking about here. So the power is, and I do this with every single action or reaction or thought or feeling that I have that isn't aligned with what I'm trying to create in my life. After that happens, I sit with myself and I journal, and I would encourage you to journal. I get out my journal, I think about, okay, why did I do that thing? Why did I act in that way? And for me, it's as simple as getting mad because I don't usually get mad. So if I get mad, I want to know what thing triggered me to get mad. What was it that was rubbing my nervous system so wrong that it, created this reaction in me? And usually it goes back to ego. My ego was bruised or, it felt like it wasn't right and something happened that didn't go my way. But then when I sit with it and I deconstruct it, I am able to say, okay, this is the thing that happened. Now, why did it make me feel this way? What could I have done instead? What can I go do right now to affect change? And that's totally how I roll. If something happens, I have to go do something immediately to affect the change in my nervous system to bring it back to regulation. So how does that apply to you in slips? If you had a slip this past week and we're in our challenge to not engage in the habit, but if you had a slip, I want you to think about it. I want you to think about what thoughts were going through your head at the moment that pushed you in the direction of the habit. I want you to think about your feelings. Those are different. And a lot of times people aren't tapped into their feelings. You might have been able to hear your thoughts, and likely they're the thoughts of the hijacker. So if there's a voice in your head telling you all the reasons you should go engage in the habit, usually it's not even your voice. It's the hijacker's voice. But I want you to literally write down what those words were that ran through your mind. What were you telling yourself, or what was the hijacker telling you? What were the feelings you had inside? Were you lonely? Were you sad? Were you angry? Were you bored? Were you frustrated? Were you anxious? Those are the feelings associated with those thoughts. Deconstruct them. because we want to avoid them in your life. And you know my theory. My theory is we are going to have a strong offense, so our defense doesn't have to work as hard, but the defense is still on the field. So when we deconstruct this, the next time the urge happens, you will be better prepared for the thoughts and the feelings that are going to propel you towards the action. Now, when you hear those thoughts and you feel those feelings, you need a plan. You need to plan something else to do. And I have lots of videos on this channel that tell you other things that you can do. That's your pivot point. Your pivot point is, okay, I'm starting to feel stressed. I just had the thought that I should go engage in my habit. Pivot. Move now. Run. Don't walk. Run in the opposite direction of the thing I told myself I'm going to do. And I have a video on just crank up some tunes. Put your AirPods in. Even if it's 2 a.m. and you're having the urge, put some tunes in that you like. Crank them up. Move your body. Get your brain into a different mode. Come out of the thoughts. Come out of the feelings so that you don't have to go towards the habit. Tunes are an easy way. If it's the middle of the day, go do your favorite hobby. Read your favorite book. Go for a run. Runs are proven to drop out your frontal lobe. Hypofrontality, transient hypofrontality. It drops out all that thinking and feeling so you can get back to business. Make a plan and pivot. Learn from the slip you've already had if you've had one. Figure that stuff out. Make a new plan. Now, get your offense strong. Have a stronger offense. Get brain training. Do it with technology, with the headband. You can get it in my short course. My short course is $49. It's totally affordable, accessible, and anonymous, just like porn. You can jump into that course. There's a 15% off exclusive discount code in there for the headband that I recommend for brain training. If you don't want the headband, research meditation and get a meditation habit going with some foundational skills that somewhere on the internet teaches you. I'll get there eventually, but not quite yet. Because if you're training your brain, you will have a stronger offense and your defense won't have to work as hard because you'll have less urges, less times that a slip is a potential. Then if you learn from the slip and you don't keep running in the opposite direction, you won't fall into relapse. So to not fall into relapse, reinforce all the reasons that you're doing this. You do not want your brain to shrink. You do not want your brain to have underactivity, proven by science. It will decrease your memory. It will give you brain fog. You will not be able to engage in your work. It will deteriorate your relationships because it's proven to create mood changes in the bad direction, anger, irritability. Your friends and family will think you are Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Your relationships with your partner, with your parents, with your friends, with your children will begin to tank if they haven't already. Then your work will slide. If you keep going, you may find yourself in trouble at work or you're just not able to produce. There is a ripple effect to relapsing. Don't relapse. Learn from the slip. You got this. If you want help, check out my website, jump into my short course. I'm here for you. I'm down for it. Okay, let's do it. And remember, control your brain or it'll control you.